everybody. My name is Archana Jacob. I work as head of IoT for Swiss Post. And today I'd like to talk to you about transforming an enterprise and disrupting a market using IoT. And I'd like to particularly speak to you about some use cases which we implemented at Swiss Post. And I think you'll be able to really have some key takeaways for yourself if you're thinking of using IoT within your company. Now, when I speak about how IoT really transformed our company, I think it's important to mention where we come from. Swiss Post was founded in 1849, and so our company for a very long time had, I think, really different challenges. The main challenge in our company was how to get people, letters, parcels, and money from A to B in a safe manner. And so it was always about logistics. Now, when I say that, I know that it's not very obvious why Swiss Post should engage with IoT. Why should a government-owned company like Swiss Post really put effort into understanding this technology? Well, the matter of fact is that the world has changed quite a bit. People are digitally networked now, people are more mobile, and we understood that there is a growing need for people to have convenient services, easily accessible services. And so Swiss Post has this vision of being simple yet systematic, and we want to connect the physical and the digital world. And when you look at the Swiss landscape or at the landscape in Switzerland, you'll really find out that Swiss Post has already started to implement that vision. You will easily find many changes which indicate that. For example, we do have public lockers where people can have their parcels delivered to. We have post buses which use augmented reality to enhance the experience of customers. We also use mobile robots to deliver goods in the last mile. And of course, again, we do have drones to do medical transports, blood samples, transporting blood samples from hospitals. And when you look at that, you'll really find out that we have already started to engage with technology, but we do not want to stop here. We really think that IoT is a key enabler which opens up a doorway to smart cities, and we really want to have an active role in opening up that doorway to smart cities, and we want to provide business value to cities so that Swiss Post will be around many years in the future. Maybe that is also why you'll find IoT in different places within our company. We have IoT in facility management, in resources management, in customer services, and so IoT. You cannot separate IoT from our company anymore. Now, when we embarked on this journey of using IoT and other technologies, we had to make a conscious decision as to what is important to us. The decision we made is that we don't want to think in terms of technology, but in terms of value to the business, because that is the only thing which will ensure that we stay in business, even decades after today. Now, I would like to speak to you about some specific use cases, IoT use cases, which we implemented at Swiss Post. And I think you will also be able to see how that decision of focusing on the business value really influenced us when we implemented these use cases. First, I would like to speak to you about consignment monitoring. consignment monitor, and we worked with a national retailer to ensure that sensitive consignments could be tracked. Now, for that purpose, we went to grocery stores and we fitted the boxes with different sensors. For example, we had an alarm fitted to it, which would go off if somebody opened the consignment on the way to the customer. We also made sure that we have temperature sensors in place, which monitor the temperature all the way along. And then we also went to different touch points and installed certain gateways to it so that these sensors could communicate and send in their data along the way. So we fitted gateways to the grocery store, to the parcel center, or to the distribution center along the way. After a while, after putting this use case into place, we realized that actually we can adapt this solution slightly and use it in an entirely different scenario. So this time we worked with a premium watchmaker, and again a couple of sensors, a couple of gateways were needed, a network server was needed, and we had a new solution for the premium watchmaker who could track now his consignment until it was delivered to the boutique. The second use case I'd like to talk about is the service on demand smart button. Now, you have the smart button here, and you'll notice that this button is actually very simple. You just push a button and it indicates that help is on its way. Now, particularly interesting about this use case is that we implemented this solution for ourselves because we wanted to use this to make facility management at our premises much easier and more convenient. After implementing this solution and talking to various partners, we discovered that there is a high demand on the market for a simple solution like this. That actually surprised us quite a bit. Well, let me tell you how this works. In a premise or in a facility, you'll always have service-intense points like coffee machines or vending machines. And we put a sensor or a button on each of this service point. Now, customers who notice that something is wrong can simply push this button and report a malfunction. The technical implementation of this solution is really quite simple, but along the way we discovered what really takes time is the coordination of all the phone calls which would be coming in the traditional way of solving this problem. Now we went there, and what we did is we replaced the phone calls or the hotline with these buttons, and additionally to that, we also put another system in place. We put a web-based system in place which would allow facility management staff to coordinate these tasks and plan their day in a better way. The result, after only 6 months of having this solution in place, we noticed that we have 20% time savings in coordinating these kind of problems. And as I mentioned before, we could also sell off this solution to other companies and profit there from that solution. Here again, we thought about how we could use almost the same solution in a different context. And this time, we went to hospitals. Now, the administration of consumables in hospitals is really a painstaking process. I don't know if you know about that, but oftentimes there are just papers to be filled out, forms to be filled out, and you mentioned that something is missing, and you need people to coordinate and make sure that everything is in place. Now, we went to hospitals and we installed buttons on the storage slot. On each slot, we installed a button, as you can see here, and hospital staff could simply push the button to indicate or to reorder new supplies. Besides doing that, we also had a web shop in place, or a web-based system in place, where these orders are consolidated and then transmitted to Swiss Post. Now, this helped us to deliver these orders not just to the hospital, but directly onto the shelves and introduce a new service to our customers. Besides that, IoT also helped us to introduce smart geolocation services. Now, Publibike is Swiss Post's daughter company, and with Publibike, we let people rent our bikes, and it's really a huge success with Public. Now, the traditional way of renting a bike is you physically lock or unlock a bike at a docking station. And when we thought about the process, we had the feeling that we really have to make this easier for people. We came up with this solution. This is a bike station, and you simply leave the bike on that station. When you rent it, you hop on it, and then drive away right away. The thing here is that the station, the bike station, which you see here, is connected with the bikes via Bluetooth, and like that, the bike station always knows the number of bikes available and if a bike is missing or not. Now, that left us with a problem, though. After putting this solution into place, we discovered that many of our bikes went missing. We had to adapt our solution a little bit, and we thought about how we could really solve this problem without going back to having docking stations. We came up with the idea that we fit GPS receivers to our bikes, and if a bike is not connected to a bike station and is not moving for quite some time, the GPS receiver is triggered and it will send the geolocation position to our server. And like that, we can find the bikes now very easily. And so we could really modify this solution in a way that we still have our bike stations, increase the convenience for our people, for our customers, but make life also easier for our staff. Now, when I spoke to you about these use cases, you will certainly think, like, what can you do? What are the steps you have to take to leverage your business using IoT? Well, let me share a piece of advice to you from the experience we could make by implementing these use cases. There were some key things we learned along the way. One key lesson we learned is that once you stop learning, you start dying. And this really, you can see this played out in the way we adapted our solution, our ideas to differing contexts, or in the way we had to adapt our solution in the case of Publibike, so that we really can put things into place. Another important thing we learned is that IoT is just one side of the story. You can use IoT to collect data. You can use different technologies to build information or to enhance it with valuable information. But at the end of the day, it all also depends on the other side of the story, which is that you need secure ways of transmitting data to your network service. That means that you really have to think about what sort of sensors you use and what sort of security they have in place, be it hardware security or software security. We also realized that we need to train models with business rules and that this takes time. And we had to make sure that the physical world matches with the digital world, that the realities are always the same. so that there can be a real trust in this system. At first, we were also very confused because, as you all know, there are many protocols, there are many platforms available on the market, and it was confusing for us to really understand what we should use and how we should go about all these things. We came up with the decision that we always should use best-in-class protocols or platforms, which means that we always think about the context of an application and what the context is and what is important to us in that context, and then decide which platform or protocol we would be using. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to really provide a fast experience to your customers. Now, that time from the initial idea to the proof of concept where you have your first prototypes should be kept very, very short. Now, at Swiss Post, we usually have roughly the duration of 4 to 6 months, but the less this duration is, the faster you will gain insights, the faster you'll be able to gather feedback from your customers, and the better you will become subsequently. Then another very, very important lesson we learned along the way is that we should know our core ability and our core market. Someone once said that it's really foolish to ask a fish to climb a tree and then to judge it by its ability to climb a tree. We are aware that at Swiss Post that we do have certain core abilities and we do have core customers or core markets where we want to operate. And so that helped us to make a decision whether we want to do certain things ourselves, like manufacturing certain sensors, or whether we wanted to use help to get things done and concentrate on other services. That all brings me actually to say that it's important to be excited about the problem rather than about the technology or the solution. And finally, the most important lesson I'd like to share with you is that it's really imperative to keep things simple enough. You can start using IoT without having thousands of sensors and thousands of information available. You really have to think, what is the context of what you're doing and what would help you to achieve these results? In the case of our smart push buttons, we discovered that keeping it simple actually made it more convenient for people, because at first we wanted to enhance it with all kinds of information, but then we discovered that that would be just confusing to everyone. So I hope now that these insights help you to make up your mind and really experiment with the technology and to find out how you can use it to leverage your business. Thank you.